My son sent me a text on Christmas. They matter more to us than you, Dad. I read it 3 times, coffee growing cold in my hands. $73,000 I'd given him in 18 months. Another $150,000 my dying wife transferred to him in secret money he never mentioned, never thanked me for. $223,000 total. And still I wasn't enough. They thought I was powerless. A 69-year-old widower, desperate for his son's love. What they didn't know, I controlled $352,000 more in accounts I'd built for 35 years. 20 minutes later, every dollar vanished. Now he's facing federal charges. His wife's in FBI custody, and I sleep peacefully for the first time in years. Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment and tell me, where are you watching this from? And have you ever felt used by your own family? Let me know below. My hands were shaking as I clicked close account, then the next one, and the next. $352,000, 35 years of savings for my son Jordan, all of it gone in 20 minutes. Why, 7 words he'd texted me Tuesday morning. They matter more to us than you, Dad. I'm David Morrison, 69 years old, from Madison, Wisconsin. I thought I knew my son. I was wrong. This is what happened when I finally learned to say no. That Tuesday morning started like any other. I sat on my front porch, coffee in hand, looking out over Lake Mendota through December's bitter cold. At 69, my life should have been about quiet retirement, simple peace. But then my phone buzzed, a text from Jordan. The message glowed on the screen, cold and brutal. Don't wait up for us this Christmas, Dad. Melissa and I are going to her parents in Arizona. They matter more to us than you do. We'll catch up with you next year sometime. My chest tightened. I read it again, then again. 29 words. But really it was those 7 in the middle that hit like a punch. They matter more to us than you. A direct statement. You don't matter. I sat there on that cold porch, coffee growing lukewarm, and felt something crack inside me. Not break, just crack. Like ice on the lake when winter first sets in. A memory hit me then. Jordan at 8 years old, Little League baseball season. Small hands gripping that bat too tight, face scrunched in concentration. I'd spent hours in our backyard teaching him. Keep your eye on the ball, buddy. I told him over and over. Patient, always patient. The day he hit his first home run, his face lit up like the 4th of July. He'd run the bases and jumped straight into my arms. Did you see, Dad? Did you see? Jennifer, my wife, had been there with her camera capturing everything. That moment of pure joy. A father who'd have done anything for his son. A son who loved his father back. How does that boy become this man? How does unconditional love become those 7 words on a screen? I stood slowly. The lake stretched out before me, gray and endless under December clouds. I walked back inside, letting the screen door bang shut. The house felt too big, too quiet. It had been that way since Jennifer died 3 years ago, but this was a different kind of empty. I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Jennifer and I had shared breakfast for 42 years, the same table where Jordan had done his homework, where we'd celebrated birthdays, where we'd become a family. Now I sat here alone, staring at words that somehow erased all of that. They matter more to us than you do. I read the message again, 4th time 5th. My coffee sat forgotten, going cold. I couldn't stop looking at those words. When had it started? When did I stop being his father and become an obligation, an inconvenience, a bank account? The December light shifted through the window, cold and pale, just like I felt. I sat at that kitchen table for another hour, my mind reaching back through the years. When had it started? When did my son stop being my son and become this? I remembered Jennifer's funeral 3 years ago. Jordan had broken down at the graveside, tears streaming. I'd put my arm around his shoulders. We still have each other's son. He'd gripped my hand tight. I'll take care of you, Dad, I promise. The irony of that promise burned now. After Jennifer died, Jordan had been attentive at first, called every few days, checked in. It helped. Then he married Melissa 5 years ago, and everything seemed fine. They looked happy. But the changes came slowly, so slowly I didn't see them. The phone calls spaced out. Every few days became once a week. Once a week became every 2 weeks. Then only when he needed something. Our Sunday tradition died first. For years, Jordan and I had spent Sunday afternoons watching the Packers play grilling burgers in the backyard. Jennifer used to make her famous potato salad. After she died, those Sundays became my lifeline. Just me and my son keeping a piece of her alive. But Melissa started having other plans. Family commitments. Friends' parties. Always something. The Sundays became monthly. Then occasionally. Then never. I told myself it was normal. He was building his own life. Then came the money. 2 years ago, Jordan called. Dad, our car died. We need a loan. Just 12,000. We'll pay you back. I hesitated. 12,000 wasn't pocket change. Are you sure you need it? We wouldn't ask if we weren't desperate, Dad. I could hear Melissa in the background. Not her words, just her presence. A murmur. A prompt. I transferred the money that day. He never mentioned paying it back. 18 months later, another call. Student loans, 18,000. Then a year ago, the kitchen renovation, 25,000 up front for the contractor. Can I see the plans, I'd asked? It's complicated, Dad. Trust me. I gave him the money. I was never invited to see the finished kitchen. 8 months ago came a text, not even a phone call. Dad, tax bill hit. Need 8,000, emergency. I transferred it within the hour. No thank you text came back. The last request was 4 months ago. Jordan called sounding harried. Melissa has medical bills. We need 10,000. My stomach dropped. Is she okay? What happened? She's fine. Just bills. Can you help? What kind of medical bills? Does it matter we need help? I'd felt anger then, but I pushed it down. Okay, I'll send it. To this day, I don't know what those medical bills were for, or if they even existed. $73,000, 18 months, 5 requests, 0 repayment, barely any acknowledgement. And now I could see it, the pattern. Every call, every text, every visit that wasn't really a visit. I wasn't his father anymore. I was a resource, an ATM, a solution to problems he never explained. The text message from this morning made perfect sense now. They matter more to us than you do. Of course they did, because all I'd ever been to him was money. I stood up from the table. The December light had shifted. Almost noon. I'd been sitting there over 2 hours lost in memories. $73,000, 18 months, and now that text. I walked to my home office. My laptop sat on the desk. I opened it. Enough was enough. It was still Tuesday morning, barely past 10 o'clock. The text had arrived at 7:15. In 3 hours, my world had tilted. Now standing in my home office, I was about to tilt it further. My laptop sat open on the desk. The bank website loaded. My hands hovered over the keyboard, trembling. Am I overreacting? The question whispered through my mind. Is this too harsh? He's my son. But then Jennifer's voice came back. Her deathbed words 2 weeks before she died. Don't let anyone take advantage of your kindness, David. Not even Jordan. I'd thought she was paranoid. The cancer, the medication making her see threats that weren't there. But she'd seen what I'd refused to see. Another memory surfaced. Jordan at 16 behind the wheel for the first time. His hands had gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles went white. I'd put my hand on his shoulder. You've got this, son. I trust you. His face had lit up. Thanks for believing in me, Dad. I'd taught him to drive that summer, helped him buy his first car. And that $12,000 2 years ago was supposed to help with a new car. But I'd already done that. This was just taking. Trust. I'd trusted him with a car. I couldn't trust him with my respect. I logged into my bank account. The numbers appeared stark and real. Savings. $285,000. 35 years with Jennifer. Every bonus, every tax refund, careful planning. Joint checking. $67,000. Opened 2 years ago. Jordan had suggested it. For emergencies, Dad. Both accounts had Jordan's name. Authorized user. Full access. $352,000. That text echoed in my head. They matter more to us than you do. My hands steadied. I started clicking. Savings account first. Close account. Pop-up. Are you sure? Yes. Transfer to new account. My name only. Submit. Joint checking next. Remove authorized user. Jordan's name deleted. Another warning. This user will lose all access immediately. Yes. Transfer balance. Submit. 20 minutes. That's all it took. The confirmation screen appeared. Your changes have been processed. I sat back. December sunlight came through the window, pale and cold. The house was quiet, except for my computer's hum. I felt empty, hollowed out. But underneath that was something lighter. Relief, maybe. Freedom. My phone buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times rapid fire. Jordan calling. He'd tried to access the accounts. Found nothing. The phone kept ringing. I let it. I needed him to feel this. To understand loss. Voicemail. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Jordan. I didn't answer. A text, Dad, call me now. I set the phone face down. It buzzed again. Jordan. Then an unknown number. Probably Melissa. Then Jordan again. I closed my laptop. 10:45 Tuesday morning. $352,000 moved beyond his reach. Every account closed or transferred. Every access point removed. My phone continued ringing. I let it. Tomorrow he'd come in person. I knew it as surely as I knew the sun would rise. And I was ready. He was pounding on my door by 7 the next morning. I'd made fresh coffee. I knew he'd come. I'd dressed properly. Slacks and a button-down shirt, not the bathrobe I usually wore. I needed my dignity. Coffee mug in hand, I listened to his fists hammering the door. 3 times. 4. 5. I glanced out the side window. Nancy's curtain moved. Good. She was watching. I opened the door. Jordan stood on my porch chest heaving. His face was red hair sticking up, dark circles under his eyes. Behind him, Melissa stood with arms crossed over a fur coat. Her expression was cold. Beyond them sat Jordan's BMW, that car I'd helped him buy with $12,000. What the hell did you do, Dad? I took a slow sip. Good morning, Jordan. Melissa. The accounts are gone, all of them. Not gone. Moved to accounts with only my name. Those were my accounts. I met his eyes. No. My money. My name. I opened those accounts the day you were born. 35 years of deposits. Mine. Melissa stepped forward. David, let's be reasonable. May we come inside? I stayed in the doorway. We're talking now, right here. We're family. Are we? When's the last time you visited without asking for money? Down the street, Mrs. Henderson's car drove past. She glanced at us, then away. Jordan shifted. That's not fair. $73,000 in 18 months. What was it for? He fumbled. The car loan, student loans, kitchen renovation. Which student loans? Melissa graduated 8 years ago. We were still paying. Where's this renovated kitchen? You've never invited me over. Melissa's jaw tightened. We don't owe you an itemized explanation. My money. You spend my money. I deserve an explanation. Jordan's face went purple. We're in trouble, Dad. Real trouble. We need that money. What kind of trouble costs $73,000? Silence. Jordan looked at Melissa. Melissa looked at the porch. What kind of trouble? It's complicated. I've got time. It's none of your business. I nodded. Then my money is none of yours. Melissa's eyes narrowed. You're being cruel. Jordan is your only son. And I was his only father, until I became an ATM. Jordan flinched. Dad, please. Please what? Give you more money. We don't ignore you. You texted me yesterday. They matter more to us than you do. Your exact words. His mouth opened, closed, nothing. That text was taken out of context, Melissa said. What context makes that acceptable? No answer. This conversation is over. Don't come back until you're ready to explain where $73,000 went. Melissa's smile vanished completely. What remained was something cold and calculating, like ice forming over deep water. You're being selfish, David, she said, her voice stripped of warmth. We're your family. We're the only people you have left. I looked at her steadily. My son is my family. You, I'm not sure what you are anymore. Her eyes narrowed. I'm his wife. And what I say carries more weight with him than you do. I read the text message, I said quietly. You made that abundantly clear. Jordan stepped forward. Melissa didn't write that. I did. Did you? I looked at him. Or did she dictate it while you typed? His face flushed, but he didn't answer. That told me everything. Dad, please. His voice cracked. We're in trouble. Real trouble. We need that money. What kind of trouble costs $73,000? Silence. Neither had an answer they were willing to share. That's not your business, Jordan finally shouted. I nodded slowly. Then my money isn't your business either. That's when Jordan snapped. He lunged forward, grabbing my arm hard. His fingers dug into my forearm, and I felt the pressure of real desperation. You need to fix this, he said through gritted teeth. Transfer the money back, now. I looked down at his hand on my arm. At 69, I'm not as strong as I used to be. My son is 35, works out, drives a BMW. But I'm still his father, and I wasn't raised to back down when threatened. Let go, I said quietly. He squeezed harder. Not until you agree. Something inside me hardened. Maybe it was old Midwest pride. Maybe it was simply knowing that if I gave in now, I'd never stop giving in. Let go. My voice came out low and firm. The voice I'd used when he was 16 and came home drunk. The voice that meant I was done negotiating. Jordan's hand trembled but stayed locked on my arm. "Let go," I said one more time, "or I'm calling the police." Melissa laughed. "You'd really call the cops on your own son?" I looked Jordan straight in the eye. "If he's assaulting me, yes, I will." The word assault seemed to shock him. His eyes widened. His grip loosened. He looked down at his own hand like it belonged to someone else, then released me, suddenly stumbling backward. I wasn't trying to. "I raised you better than this, Jordan. Don't," his voice broke. "Your mother would be ashamed. Don't you bring Mom into this. You don't have the right." "I have every right," I said, my voice rising. "Your mother died still protecting you, still worrying about you, still making sure you'd be okay, and you're throwing all of that away." "That's emotional manipulation," Melissa cut in sharply. I turned to her. "Get off my property, both of you, right now." "Dad, please." "Get out." The words echoed across the quiet morning street. "Get off my porch, get out of my driveway, and don't come back." Jordan opened his mouth, closed it. His shoulders sagged. For just a moment I saw a flicker of the boy I'd raised, the boy who'd run to me after hitting his first home run. But then Melissa touched his arm and whatever I'd seen vanished. "Come on," she said coldly. "We're done here." I stepped backward into my house and closed the door, locked it. Through the window I watched them walk to their BMW. Jordan moved like a man in a dream. Melissa gestured wildly, clearly furious. He got in the driver's seat. She kept talking, kept gesturing. Then they were gone. My hands started shaking then. Not before. During the confrontation, I'd been steady. Now alone in my house, the trembling hit me all at once. My phone buzzed. A text from Nancy next door. "You okay? I saw everything." I typed back, "I'm fine. Thank you for checking." "Nancy, that woman is poisoned. Be careful." I watched the empty street where their car had been. My own son had just grabbed me, threatened me, on my own front porch. I picked up my phone and called the only person who could help me now. Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, I sat in Michael Harper's law office on State Street. I'd come to protect what was mine. I had no idea I was about to discover what my wife had hidden. Michael's office occupied the third-floor windows overlooking the state capitol. At 48, he had the kind of professional warmth that put nervous clients at ease. His Georgetown law diploma hung behind his desk. Everything felt orderly controlled. I needed that. I told him everything, the text message, the $73,000, yesterday's confrontation, Jordan grabbing my arm. "I need to protect myself." Michael nodded. "What you're describing is textbook financial exploitation, Mr. Morrison." "He's my son. Can I really?" "You can, and you should." He leaned forward. "Let me review your estate documents. I want to know exactly what we're protecting." I'd brought everything, bank statements, old wills, trust documents. Michael worked through each file methodically. Then he stopped. He was holding a sealed envelope I'd never seen before. On the outside, in Jennifer's handwriting, "For David Morrison or legal representative only." "Did you know about this?" Michael asked. "No." My mouth felt dry. "What is it?" He opened it carefully. Inside were bank transfer records and a handwritten letter. Michael read silently, then looked at me with something like sympathy. "I think you should read this yourself." I took the letter, Jennifer's handwriting, the same script that had written grocery lists and birthday cards for 42 years. "My dearest David, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I've transferred $150,000 from our savings into Jordan's account. I know you'll be angry, but I'm dying and I'm terrified for our son's future. This money is only for true emergencies. Jordan, if your father is reading this to you, use this money wisely. It represents 40 years of your father's hard work. Don't tell him about this unless you absolutely must. I love you both, Mom." The letter was dated 2 weeks before Jennifer died, 3 years ago. I stared at the paper. My hands were completely still the way they get when shock runs too deep for trembling. She gave him $150,000. 3 years ago, yes, Michael said gently. He never told me, not once. The math assembled itself with brutal clarity. $150,000 from Jennifer, $73,000 from me, $223,000 total. And he still kept asking for more. I read the letter again. My dying wife had given our son $150,000, and Jordan had never mentioned it, never thanked me, never acknowledged his dying mother's gift. He'd just kept taking. "Only for true emergencies," I read aloud. "Car repairs aren't emergencies. Kitchen renovations aren't emergencies." My voice sounded flat. He had $150,000 and still asked me for more. I looked at Michael. I want to change my will. Everything. I want Jordan's name removed from every document. Michael nodded. We can do that. Today. I'm not upset. I met his eyes. I'm done. I stayed in Michael Harper's office 20 minutes after reading Jennifer's letter. Downtown Madison traffic hummed below, but inside this room time had stopped. Michael handed me a tissue. I hadn't realized I was crying. She hid this from me, I said. She was trying to protect you both. Protect? My voice cracked. She gave him a fortune and told him to keep it secret. Michael leaned forward gently. Mr. Morrison, she was dying. Stage 4 cancer. People in that position make decisions they wouldn't normally make. Did she not trust me? I think she knew you'd say no. And she wanted Jordan to have security. I laughed bitterly. Security. He burned through it. The grief was layering now. Jennifer had died 3 years ago. I'd survived that pain. But here was new grief for the wife who'd kept secrets. Grief for the son who'd exploited both his parents. Grief for a marriage that maybe wasn't what I'd believed. We were together 42 years, I said quietly. I thought I knew her. You did know her. One decision doesn't erase 42 years. But it stains everything. I wiped my eyes. My voice steadied. Draft the new will. Are you sure in your current emotional state? I'm certain Jordan gets nothing, not $1. Who do you want your estate to go to? Charity. Madison Public Library. The Senior Center. Women's Shelter. Anywhere but him. Mr. Morrison, maybe you should... He betrayed us both. My words came out hard. My wife died trying to protect him, and he used her gift to bleed me dry. He doesn't deserve what we built. Michael nodded slowly. I'll draft it today. We'll also prepare a restraining order. He grabbed me yesterday morning. It'll happen again. Michael began taking notes, removing Jordan's power of attorney, stripping every access point, adding his name to intentionally excluded heirs. Thursday afternoon I returned. The new will sat on his desk, crisp and legal. Everything to charity. Jordan's name appeared only once, intentionally excluded. I signed. My hand didn't shake. It's done, Michael said. Your estate is protected. I left feeling hollowed out, but determined. The boy I'd raised was gone. The woman I'd loved had kept secrets. But my life's work wouldn't fund Jordan's destruction. I was walking to my car when my phone rang. Unknown number. Wisconsin area code. Mr. Morrison. A man's voice, professional, but urgent. This is Detective Kevin Barnes with the Madison Police Department. I need to speak with you about your son. It's urgent. My hand tightened on the phone. What's happened? Not over the phone, sir. Can you meet me? There's something you need to know about Jordan's financial situation. Something involving federal law. Federal law. I stood on State Street, people passing around me my newly signed will in my briefcase. I can be there in 15 minutes. The detective gave me the address. I hung up and stood there watching traffic pass. Tuesday morning, Jordan had grabbed my arm. Wednesday, I'd discovered Jennifer's secret. Thursday, I'd cut Jordan out completely. Now, a detective was telling me about federal crimes. How deep did this hole go? I got in my car and drove toward the meeting Madison's winter streets blurring past. I thought I'd seen the worst. I was wrong. I answered on the sidewalk outside Michael's building, State Street traffic, rumbling behind me. David Morrison speaking? Mr. Morrison, this is Detective Kevin Barnes with the Dane County Sheriff's Office. I need to talk to you about your son. My stomach dropped. What's happened? Can you meet with me today, if possible? What's this about? I'd rather discuss it in person. It involves a fraud investigation. Fraud? Your son's name has come up in our records. When can you meet? Where? Somewhere public. Your choice. Michelangelo's Coffee on University Avenue. Tomorrow morning. 10 o'clock. I'll be there. That night, I didn't sleep. My mind raced through possibilities. What had Jordan done? Fraud investigation. Federal, I should have seen this coming. I called Nancy at 11 p.m. Something's happening, I told her. I don't know what yet. Friday morning at 10, I sat in Michelangelo's Coffee. The cafe sat near the UW-Madison campus students, hunched over laptops, life proceeding normally around them. Detective Barnes was maybe 42, with tired eyes, but a kind face and professional bearing. We took a corner table, private but public. Barnes showed me his badge. Mr. Morrison, did you know your son filed for bankruptcy 7 months ago? I stared at him. What number bankruptcy? Grandpa's story. True story 7. Total debt listed at $520,000. The number didn't make sense. 520. How is that possible? Barnes slid documents across the table. Bankruptcy filing, creditor lists, maxed credit cards, personal loans, a second mortgage on his house. The timeline stretched back 3 years. Most of the debt appears to be gambling related, Barnes said. Primarily online poker, also casino trips to Milwaukee and several to Las Vegas. Jordan gambles. I felt stupid saying it. I had no idea. According to our records, it started small about 4 years ago, then escalated rapidly. 4 years ago, 1 year after Jennifer died, grief or just timing. Barnes continued, here's where this concerns you, Mr. Morrison. In bankruptcy proceedings, filers must disclose all assets and income. That includes gifts and family support. He pointed to the filing. Your son declared here, no family financial support received in the past 2 years. That's a lie. We know. We found the deposits. Large cash amounts in the months before filing. They match what you described when you closed your accounts. I gave him $73,000 over 18 months. None of it was reported to the bankruptcy court. That's bankruptcy fraud, Mr. Morrison. It's a federal crime. Maximum penalty is 5 years in prison. I sat very still. My son wasn't just selfish. He was a criminal, facing federal charges. I thought that was the worst of it. $520,000 in gambling debt. Federal fraud charges. I was wrong. Barnes pulled out another file folder. Mr. Morrison, there's something else you need to know. He paused. About your daughter-in-law. The woman in the photo looked like Melissa, but the name underneath read Amanda Whitmore, a convicted felon. Barnes began questioning. When did Jordan meet Melissa? About 5 years ago, at a real estate seminar in Chicago. And they married quickly. Less than a year. Very intense. Barnes nodded. We ran a background check. Standard procedure in fraud investigations. He slid a mugshot across the table. Do you recognize this woman? A police booking photo. A woman who looked like Melissa, but different. Younger, sharper, more cruel. Different hair. But the face was unmistakable. This looks like Melissa, but not quite. This is Amanda Christine Whitmore. Tampa, Florida, 2014. My coffee had gone cold. Barnes laid out her history. Real name, Amanda Christine Whitmore. Born 1993, not 1994. Raised in Florida's foster care system. First arrest 2013 for petty theft. Second arrest 2014 for elder financial exploitation. The Florida case is why she's relevant. She targeted an elderly couple. Gerald and Martha Patterson, ages 72 and 75. Approached them through their church. Spent 6 months building trust. Then convinced them to invest in a fake business opportunity. She stole $180,000 from their retirement savings. $180,000, the same number Jennifer had given Jordan. She was sentenced to 3 years, served 18 months early release for good behavior. When she was released in 2016, she legally changed her name to Melissa Ann Carter, moved to Chicago, built an entirely new identity, college degree, marketing professional references, all fabricated. 1 year later, she accidentally met Jordan at that real estate seminar. The seminar had a public attendee list online. We have evidence she researched it beforehand. Barnes pulled out more documents, printouts from Melissa's laptop, Google searches for David Morrison, Madison, Wisconsin, Jennifer's obituary, the funeral home website, Jordan's Facebook posts mentioning inheritance and Mom's estate. She researched us extensively. There's a folder on her computer titled Project Morrison, Your Financial Information Property Records Estimated Net Worth. Jesus Christ. The FBI is involved. Interstate fraud, identity fraud, organized scheme. They found at least 3 other victims in different states. Same pattern. She targets men with elderly, wealthy parents. There's one more thing about Karen Martinez, Melissa's mother. Barnes shook his head. Her real name is Patricia Simmons, a crowd actress from Phoenix. Melissa hired her to play mother at the wedding and family gatherings. $5,000 total. Ms. Simmons is cooperating. She thought it was a weird but well-paid gig. Had no idea it was part of a long-term fraud scheme. The fake mother, an actress, hired. My son had married a professional predator, a woman who'd researched us like a hunter, who'd created an entire fake identity, who'd hired someone to play her mother. And Jordan, victim accomplice both. He's both? Barnes said. She targeted him, manipulated him, but he also committed bankruptcy fraud. He took your money knowing what he was doing. The law doesn't care if he was being manipulated. After Barnes left, I sat in my car for 20 minutes, staring at Amanda Christine Whitmore's mugshot, a professional hunter. I needed to talk to someone who could understand this. Nancy opened the door before I could knock. She'd seen my car pull up, seen my face through the window. "Come in," she said. "I'll make tea." Nancy's kitchen was warm and familiar. Harold, her husband, quietly disappeared to give us privacy. She put on a kettle of chamomile. I sat down, wrapping my hands around the warm cup. I told her everything. Jennifer's secret, 150,000. Jordan's 520,000 in bankruptcy debt, the gambling addiction, the federal fraud charges, and now Melissa's real identity. When I finished, Nancy just said, "Oh, David, Jesus Christ." She was quiet for a long time, processing. Then, poor kid, he was conned. "He's 35, Nancy, not a child." But he didn't know. She played him. She played all of us, I said, hearing the bitterness in my voice. But Jordan still made choices, still lied to me, still sent that text message. Nancy looked at me carefully. "Does it change how you feel, knowing he was manipulated?" I was quiet for a long time. Part of me feels sorry for him. He married a predator. She targeted him specifically to get to me. I took a sip of tea. But another part of me thinks he's an adult. He should have seen the signs. He should have protected me, not helped her bleed me dry. Nancy nodded. "Both things are true. He's a victim, but he also made you one." "Exactly. So where does that leave me?" "You protect yourself," Nancy said firmly. "Whether he knew about her past or not, the damage is done." "I keep thinking," I said slowly, "when he discovers who he really married, his world is going to collapse." Nancy's expression hardened. "He deserves that. He helped create it." I'd felt sympathy, real sympathy. For about 10 minutes in that parking lot, I'd actually wanted to call Jordan, warn him about Melissa, save him from what was coming. "What stopped you?" Nancy asked, reading my thoughts. I remembered the text message. "They matter more than you, Dad. Melissa's a monster." But Jordan wrote those words, or at least he agreed to send them. A memory hit me then. Jordan's college graduation from UW-Madison. Jennifer and I sitting in the bleachers, bursting with pride. At the celebration dinner, I'd raised my glass. "Your mother and I invested in your future because we believe in you." Jordan had stood up young and full of promise. "I won't let you down." The investment had been wasted. The promise had been shattered. "He's both," I said finally. "Victim and perpetrator, manipulated and guilty. And I can feel sorry for him while still protecting myself from him." Nancy squeezed my hand. "That's exactly right." The weekend passed slowly. Saturday felt like a week. Sunday felt longer. I kept staring at the mugshot on my phone. Amanda Christine Whitmore, the woman who'd researched my family like we were a business opportunity, who'd created an entire fake identity, who'd hired someone to play her mother, the woman my son had married without ever really knowing. Monday afternoon, I was pouring coffee when the doorbell rang. The weekend after meeting Detective Barnes passed slowly. Saturday, then Sunday. I barely left the house, my mind circling back to that mugshot. Amanda Whitmore. Monday afternoon, I was making coffee when the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Melissa, alone. She was holding a gift box, smiling. No Jordan in sight. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. I stood in the doorway, my body blocking entry. "Hi, Dad David," she said, voice sweet. "I came to apologize. Can I come in?" "No." Her smile faltered slightly. "Oh, well, I brought you a peace offering. Your favorite chocolates." She held up the box. I glanced at it. Cheap brand. Grocery store, generic. "How do you know what I like, Melissa?" "You've never asked me." "Well, Jordan told me." "Jordan doesn't know what chocolates I like. Jennifer did. You're guessing." The sweetness began to crack. "Okay, fine. It's just chocolate. It's the thought that counts, right?" She shifted tactics. "Dad David, we need to talk. About the money. About that text. Jordan feels terrible. Does he feel terrible because he lost access to my accounts?" "That's not fair." "What's not fair," I said coldly, "is using his dead mother's gift as seed money to manipulate my son into bleeding me dry." Melissa froze. "Yes," I continued. "I know about Jennifer's 150,000. Jordan never mentioned it to you, did he?" "That was before I met him." "Was it, or did you know about it from the beginning?" The mask began dropping completely. "You're becoming paranoid, David. and selfish. We need that money. We're in trouble. What kind of trouble, Melissa? Gambling debts, designer clothes? What exactly costs $520,000? Her eyes widened. What did Jordan tell you? Jordan didn't tell me anything. Detective Barnes did. Silence. Melissa's face went cold. The mask was completely gone now. You called the police on us. They called me. Federal investigation, bankruptcy fraud. She took a step back. You don't know what you've done, old man. I know exactly what I'm doing. Protecting myself from you, which I should have done 5 years ago. Jordan will never forgive you. I can live with that. Can he live with what you've done to him? What have I done? I'm his wife. I love him. Do you love what he could provide? Her voice turned venomous. You don't know a damn thing. I know your name isn't Melissa. I know about Tampa. I know about the Pattersons. And I know Karen Martinez isn't your mother. The color drained from her face. Get off my property, I said quietly. And don't ever come back. Melissa threw the chocolate box into the bushes, stormed to her car, and sped away. Nancy called immediately. That woman is a demon, David. A real demon, I agreed. Then I called Michael Harper. I want to file for a restraining order. Tomorrow morning. I'll have it ready, Michael said. Tuesday morning I met Michael at the courthouse. We filed the paperwork. The hearing was scheduled for next Monday. That gave them 1 more week. I knew they'd use it. A storm was coming. Both of them would come back together. Wednesday evening, as darkness fell, headlights swept across my living room wall. Wednesday evening, winter cold settling over Maple Bluff. I watched headlights turn into my driveway, Jordan's BMW. They sat in the car for 5 minutes, 2 silhouettes arguing behind fogged windows. Then both doors opened. The moment had arrived. They approached the porch together. Jordan looked exhausted and collapsed. Melissa looked angry and desperate. Dad, please, Jordan said. Just 5 minutes. Let us explain. I stood on the porch, arms crossed. Say it right here. Melissa cut in. Can't we be civilized? Go inside, sit down. Civilized, I said. Like that text message. Jordan's head dropped. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Sorry you said it, or sorry you got caught. I didn't wait for an answer. I know about the bankruptcy, Jordan. $520,000. Jordan's face drained of color. He glanced at Melissa. I know you lied to the bankruptcy court about family financial support. Melissa's voice turned sharp. That's ridiculous. We were desperate. Desperate for what more? Gambling. Hiding money from creditors. How do you know about... Jordan started. Detective Barnes, Dane County Sheriff's Office. We've spoken several times. Silence. You went to the police? Melissa said. They came to me? Federal investigation. I looked at Melissa. And I know who you really are, Amanda. Everything froze. Time stopped. What? Jordan's voice was confused. Amanda, what are you talking about? I pulled out my phone. Opened the email from Detective Barnes. The mugshot. Amanda Christine Whitmore, Tampa, Florida, convicted in 2014 for stealing $180,000 from an elderly couple. Jordan stared at the photo, then at Melissa, then back at the photo. His voice broke. This is you. Who are you really? I can explain, Melissa started. Did you know? Jordan turned on her. When we met at that seminar, did you already know about my dad's money? Melissa said nothing. Jesus Christ. Jordan's voice shook. You researched me. You targeted me. Jordan, it wasn't like that. He stepped back away from her. You used me. You used both of us. Melissa turned on me, vicious. You selfish old man. Do you know what you've done? You've destroyed everything. I didn't destroy anything, I said calmly. You did. Both of you. We needed that money. We're drowning. Whose fault is that? Jordan was looking at Melissa, truth dawning across his face. The gambling. You pushed me to play more. Just one more hand, you're about to hit it big. I was just trying to help. You wanted to bury us in debt, so I'd have to ask Dad for more. That's not... And Karen, Jordan's voice went cold. Is she even your mother? Melissa stayed silent. Jordan laughed, but it came out bitter. She's not, is she? She's fake, like everything about you. I spoke then, final and clear. Jordan, you're weak. Melissa, you're a criminal, and I'm done with both of you. We're family, Melissa shouted. You can't just... You're not my family. Never were. Family doesn't act like this. I looked at Jordan. The restraining order hearing is Monday. Don't come near me until then. I stepped inside and locked the door. Through the window, I watched them scream at each other. Melissa pointing at my house, then at Jordan. Jordan gesturing wildly, looking completely broken. A police cruiser passed slowly. Nancy had called them. Seeing the police, they rushed to the car and drove away. I was alone again. The storm had passed temporarily, but the Monday hearing loomed. The next 5 nights, I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Nancy visited twice a day. Sunday night, I laid out my clothes for court like I was preparing for battle. In a way, I was. Monday morning, Dane County Courthouse. I walked through those doors knowing my relationship with my son might end permanently in this room. Michael Harper walked beside me. The courtroom was formal and solemn. In the gallery, Nancy sat in the back row for moral support. Jordan and Melissa arrived separately. They were clearly still fighting. Jordan looked terrible dark circles under his eyes, suit rumpled. Melissa looked angry in her designer outfit, cold composure intact. They'd hired separate lawyers. They couldn't afford to share one anymore. The hearing began. Judge Barbara Klein, 59 sharp and serious, announced, "Court is in session, case number 2347. David Morrison versus Jordan Morrison and Melissa Morrison petition for restraining order." Michael Harper stood. "Your Honor, my client seeks protection from financial exploitation, harassment, and threats of physical violence." Jordan's lawyer, a young public defender, countered weakly, "Your Honor, this is a family dispute, blown out of proportion. My client loves his father." Judge Klein cut him off. "I'll hear the evidence, then I'll decide. Mr. Harper, call your first witness." I took the stand, raised my hand, swore to tell the truth. Michael began leading me through the timeline. "Mr. Morrison, when did your relationship with your son begin to deteriorate?" "After my wife Jennifer died 3 years ago, especially after he married Melissa 5 years ago." "Can you describe the financial relationship?" "Over 18 months, I gave him $73,000. Car repairs, student debt, kitchen renovation, tax bills, medical expenses. He promised to repay me. He never did. Then I discovered my late wife had given him $150,000 before she died. He never mentioned it." Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. "So your son received over $200,000 total?" "Yes." "What happened this December?" "I received a text message the week before Christmas." Michael displayed it on the projector screen. The words filled the wall behind me. "They matter more to us than you, Dad." Gasps echoed through the room. "How did you feel when you received this message?" My voice thickened. Like I was disposable. Like a thing to be used and discarded. Like 35 years of fatherhood meant nothing. "What did you do?" "I closed the accounts with his name on them. $352,000. Savings my wife and I had built over 40 years. "How did your son react?" "He came to my house the next morning, demanded I transfer the money back. He grabbed my arm and wouldn't let go until I threatened to call the police." The courtroom went silent. Cross-examination came next. Jordan's lawyer tried weakly to poke holes. "Mr. Morrison, you gave this money voluntarily, correct?" "I gave it because he's my son. He took it because he saw me as a convenient resource. But no one forced you. Emotional manipulation is a form of coercion. Isn't this restraining order just retaliation? Revenge for a text message?" I looked directly at the lawyer. "No, it's self-protection. I raised him alone after his mother died. Every dollar, every sacrifice was for him. And he told me I don't matter. Then he physically threatened me. I deserve respect, even from my son. Especially from my son." My voice broke slightly. I couldn't help it. Judge Klein spoke gently. "Continue, Mr. Morrison." I took a breath. "I'm 69 years old. I've worked hard my entire life. I love my son more than anything. But he sees me as a bank account. I won't let myself be used anymore." I finished, stepped down. The courtroom held its breath. Judge Klein reviewed her notes. Then she looked up at Melissa. "Mrs. Morrison, I want to hear your response to these allegations." Melissa stood, smoothed her skirt, cold confidence radiating from her. Michael Harper stood as well. "Your Honor," he said clearly, "before Mrs. Morrison speaks, there's something the court needs to know." Melissa stood, smoothed her skirt, composed. She glanced at her lawyer, received an encouraging nod. She opened her mouth to speak. Your Honor. Michael Harper said, I apologize for the interruption, but before Mrs. Morrison testifies, there's critical information about her credibility this court needs to hear. Judge Klein's expression sharpened. Approach. Both lawyers walked to the bench, a whispered conference. Then Judge Klein spoke louder. Mr. Harper, you may proceed. Michael turned to face the courtroom. Your Honor, the person calling herself Melissa Morrison is not who she claims to be. Murmurs rippled through the gallery. Melissa's lawyer stood confused. Objection. What is he talking about? Her legal name until 2016 was Amanda Christine Whitmore. Melissa's face drained of color. Jordan jumped to his feet. What? Judge Klein's gavel cracked down. Mr. Jordan Morrison, sit down. Mr. Harper, continue. Michael pulled out documents. Criminal record from Florida. Convicted in 2014 for elder financial exploitation. Victims were an elderly couple. Amount stolen $180,000. He distributed copies to the judge opposing counsel, the court clerk. Melissa's lawyer flipped through them, face showing genuine shock. Your Honor, I had no knowledge of this. Michael continued. Ms. Whitmore served 18 months. Released in 2016, immediately changed her name to Melissa Ann Carter. 1 year later, she met my client's son. He presented more evidence. Name change documents. The seminar attendee list where she'd accidentally met Jordan. Google search data from her laptop. Searches for David Morrison. Jennifer's obituary saved. A folder titled Project Morrison. Judge Klein reviewed the evidence carefully. Then she looked at Melissa. Ms. Whitmore, you were convicted of defrauding an elderly couple in Florida. Melissa stammered. I served my time. I paid my debt and immediately targeted another family with wealthy elderly parents, Michael said. Mr. Harper, that's an allegation. An allegation supported by evidence, Your Honor. Her laptop contains extensive research on the Morrison family, conducted before she met Jordan Morrison. Jordan stood again, shouting, You researched my family. Before we even met. Judge Klein's voice went sharp. Mr. Morrison, sit down now, or I will have you removed. Jordan sat, put his head in his hands. Your Honor, Michael said, the FBI is investigating Ms. Whitmore for similar fraud schemes across multiple states. Judge Klein looked at the gallery. 2 men in suits stood. They held up FBI badges. Your Honor, one said, We'd like to detain Ms. Whitmore for questioning after this hearing. Melissa saw them. She started moving toward the courtroom doors. Bailiff Judge Klein said coldly, Ensure Ms. Whitmore remains in this courtroom. Security stepped in front of the exits. Melissa turned on me, snarling, This is all your fault. You did this, Ms. Whitmore. Judge Klein said, I strongly advise you to be quiet. Melissa's lawyer touched her arm. Please, sit down. But Melissa turned to Jordan. Tell them it's not true. Jordan didn't look at her. His voice came out hollow. I can't. Because I don't know what's true anymore. Judge Klein spoke clearly. Bailiff detained Ms. Whitmore for FBI questioning. You can't do this, Melissa screamed. I have rights. The bailiff approached with handcuffs. Melissa struggled, still screaming. David Morrison. You will regret this. You're destroying your son's life. They handcuffed her, led her toward the door. Her screams echoed down the courthouse hallway. Jordan, don't let them. The door closed. Deadly silence filled the courtroom. The gallery murmured. Judge Klein banged her gavel for order, and Jordan sat collapsed at his table head, buried in his hands, his entire world falling apart. Just like he'd done to mine. With Melissa gone, the courtroom was quieter. Jordan sat frozen at his table, his lawyer whispering urgently. Judge Klein reviewed her notes, face expressionless. Mr. Jordan Morrison, stand up. Jordan stood. His legs shook. Did you know about your wife's criminal history? Your Honor, no. I swear. I had no idea. Did you send your father a text message stating, they matter more to us than you, Dad? Yes, but... Yes or no, Mr. Morrison? Yes, Your Honor. Did you receive over $200,000 from your parents? Yes. Did you file for bankruptcy 7 months ago? Yes. Did you disclose that family financial support in your bankruptcy filing? A long tense silence. No, Your Honor. You understand that's bankruptcy fraud, a federal crime. Yes, I understand that now. Judge Klein looked at him steadily. Do you have anything to say to your father? Jordan turned to me. Tears streamed down his face. Dad, I'm so sorry. I destroyed everything. I'm a gambling addict. Melissa pushed me, but every choice was mine. I lied. I betrayed you. I betrayed Mom's memory. He was sobbing. I sent that text because I was desperate and ashamed. Melissa said your feelings mattered less than our survival. I was wrong. Completely wrong. His voice broke. I love you. I know I destroyed that love. I'm just so sorry. I looked at him. My face showed nothing. My heart felt nothing. Judge Klein spoke. I've heard enough. The evidence is overwhelming. This court finds Mr. David Morrison has full grounds for protection. The gavel came down hard. Restraining order granted. Jordan Morrison and Amanda Whitmore must maintain 150 feet from Mr. David Morrison, his residence and workplace, for 1 year. Jordan collapsed into his chair. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Clear, Mr. Morrison. Yes, Your Honor. Barely audible. Court is adjourned. The final gavel fell. Michael and I walked out. Nancy waited in the hallway. She hugged me tight. Detective Barnes approached. Michael shook my hand. You did the right thing, Michael said. How do you feel? Nancy asked. Like I can breathe again. A memory hit me. The last good Christmas 2 years ago. Jennifer was alive, though weak from cancer. Jordan carved the turkey laughing. Melissa was sweet and attentive. All performance. Jennifer had said, this is what matters most, family being together. The contrast was painful. That warm memory against this cold courtroom. But I felt peace. The toxic people were gone. What remained were the real ones. Nancy. Michael. People who actually cared. I walked out into winter sunlight. Nancy hugged me on the steps. Michael shook my hand goodbye. Across the square, Detective Barnes nodded. It felt like victory. But in the weeks that followed, I would understand the full scope of what I'd escaped. 3 weeks after the restraining order, hearing the call I'd been waiting for finally came. Michael Harper called with news. I was teaching a financial literacy class at a women's shelter. I apologized to the students and stepped into the hallway. The federal prosecutor filed charges this morning, Michael said. 3 counts of bankruptcy fraud. How much time is he facing? Maximum 5 years per count. But they'll likely offer a total of 3 years federal prison with possible parole after 18 months if he shows good behavior and makes restitution. I sighed. Restitution he doesn't have. Correct? Michael paused. There's something else. Melissa is cooperating with prosecutors. What does that mean? She's testifying against Jordan. In exchange, the FBI is offering her a reduced sentence on the fraud charges. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Of course. She always knows how to save herself. She's telling them everything. Jordan's gambling, the money requests, how she coached him on what to say to manipulate you. She's throwing him under the bus to save herself. That same day, Detective Barnes called with an update. The FBI investigation had uncovered a systematic pattern of fraud. Victim 1, 2012, Portland, Oregon. $95,000 stolen from a widower, age 68. Victim 2, 2014, Tampa, Florida. $180,000 from the Pattersons, the case she'd been convicted for. Victim 3, 2017, St. Louis, Missouri. $125,000 from a divorced father, age 72. Victim 4, 2019, to present Madison, Wisconsin. Me and Jordan. Total amount stolen from all victims over $1.2 million. She's a serial predator, Mr. Morrison, Barnes said. You were lucky you caught it when you did. Then Barnes told me about Patricia Simmons. We located the woman who played Melissa's mother. She's cooperating fully. Says Melissa hired her through a Craigslist ad. Need actor for family events? She received $5,000 over 5 years. Did she know it was fraud? She claims no. Thought it was strange, but assumed it was family estrangement requiring a stand-in. She'll testify? Barnes paused. We finally uncovered Melissa's real history. Her real name is Amanda Whitmore, born 1993 in Tampa. Her mother was an addict. Father unknown. She went through 6 foster homes and aged out of the system at 18 with nothing. So she had no family. No one. Which makes her targeting families even more calculated. She wanted what she'd never had. But instead of building it honestly, she chose to steal it. That's sad. It is, Barnes agreed. Until you remember what she did to her victims. Melissa was facing federal fraud charges, identity fraud, criminal conspiracy, and witness tampering. 12 to 15 years in federal prison. She'd likely serve at least 10 before parole consideration. That evening I told Nancy about Melissa's background. A part of me feels sorry for her, I said. Foster care, no family, wanting to belong somewhere. And the other part, Nancy asked, the other part reminds me she destroyed many lives, including my son's. My sympathy has limits. Weeks later, I was teaching another financial literacy class when my phone buzzed. A text from Detective Barnes. Guilty. All counts. I stepped into the hallway. Read it twice. Jordan, 3 years federal prison. Melissa, 12 years federal prison. Justice had been served, but it felt empty. 2 weeks after the convictions, an envelope arrived at my house. May arrived with warm air and green returning to Madison. Lake Mendota thawed. Cherry blossoms bloomed around the state capitol, and then a letter from Dane County Jail. Jordan's handwriting on the envelope. I stared at that envelope for an hour before opening it. Sat at my kitchen table, coffee going cold. A reminder of that December morning. The letter was 7 pages handwritten full of emotion. I blame Melissa, but every choice was mine. I lied. I stole your money. I betrayed Mom's memory. He explained the gambling addiction, how it started small after Mom died a way to cope with grief, how it spiraled when Melissa encouraged it. She'd say, just one more hand, you're about to win big. I thought she believed in me. Really, she was burying us in debt to force me to ask you for more money. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I finally understand what I did. The letter ended. When you think of me, please try to remember the boy who loved you completely, not the man who hurt you. I understand, if you can't. Jordan. I read it 3 times. Put it in my desk drawer. Didn't write back. Nancy visited. You got Jordan's letter. Ah, how do you know? He sent me one too. Asked me to look after you. Will you write back? Nancy looked at me. I don't know. Will you? I shook my head. No. Words are easy in prison. Let's see who he is when he gets out. Forgiveness isn't a switch, Nancy. I can't just flip it because he wrote a moving letter. I know, Nancy said. I'm not saying you should. Maybe in 2 years he'll be a different man. But right now, I'm not ready. Maybe I never will be. And I need to learn to be okay with that. Between May and August, my new life took shape. The book club came first. Nancy insisted. I went. Awkward at first, being the only man. But Carol Jenkins, Judy Coleman, and the others welcomed me warmly. We discussed novels, shared life stories. They never asked about Jordan. I realized this is what community means. Then Judy's watercolor class on Saturday mornings at the senior center. I'd thought Midwest men didn't do art. Turns out it brought strange peace. I wasn't good at it, but my soul was calm. I found new purpose teaching monthly financial literacy classes at the women's shelter. My topic, how to recognize financial exploitation. I was turning my pain into something useful, helping others spot the warning signs I'd missed. In June, I took 5 days alone at a small cottage on the Maine coast. Daily beach walks, reading, reflection. I had a moment of clarity. I spent so much time being Jordan's father that I forgot to be David. I'd defined myself through my son. Now I was discovering who I was standing alone. It felt both free and sad. At the library, I met Lawrence Cooper, a retired history teacher. We started meeting for coffee regularly, a healthy male friendship. It was good to have a male friend to share with. In August, Jordan's second letter arrived, shorter, more focused. 6 months sober from gambling, attending GA meetings here, working in the prison library. I understand what I broke wasn't just money, it was trust, love. I lost everything. I'm not asking you to write back, just want you to know I'm trying to be better. If you want to talk, I'm here. If not, I completely understand. I read it, still didn't respond, but I stored it with the first letter in my drawer. Maybe someday. I was building a full, meaningful life without Jordan. September brought my 70th birthday. Nancy insisted on a party. I didn't want one, but I was glad she'd ignored my objections. September 23rd, my 70th birthday. That morning, Nancy called. Be at my house at 6 tonight. No arguments. I arrived expecting a simple dinner. Instead, I walked into a surprise party. My book club friends were there. Carol, Judy, and the others. Harold, Lawrence Cooper, the library volunteers, and the women from my financial literacy class at the shelter, eyes full of gratitude. Decorations, cake, laughter filling the room. The gifts were meaningful. Judy gave me a real watercolor set with quality brushes. Carol gave me a mug that read, World's Most Mediocre Artist. The book club gave me novels they knew I'd love. And the shelter students gave me a handmade card. Thank you for teaching us to recognize the warning signs. Nancy raised her glass. To David, who taught us all what courage looks like, I was truly happy, laughing among people who'd chosen to love me. When I got home alone that night, I realized Jordan hadn't called, hadn't written. A brief sadness passed through me. Then I looked at the photos from the party. I'm okay, I whispered. Really okay. This was my family now, chosen not blood. In October, Detective Barnes called with news. Melissa had been arrested again, while in prison. She'd tried to scam another inmate's family through letters and phone calls. New charges: wire fraud, criminal conspiracy. Her sentence was extended. She wouldn't be eligible for parole for at least 15 more years. Some people never learn, I told Nancy. And some people learn exactly what they need, she said. You did, and you're free. In November, Jordan's parole officer called. Jordan had been approved for early release on December 15th. Good behavior, completed vocational training, regular GA attendance. He was moving to Cleveland, Ohio to live with Uncle Robert, Jennifer's brother. The parole officer added, he asked permission to write you one final letter. He didn't have to ask, but he wants to respect the spirit of the restraining order, even though it's expiring. He can write, I said, but I'm not promising to answer. The letter arrived the first week of December, short, practical, humble. He told me about his release date, about moving to Cleveland. I won't come to Madison. I know you don't want to see me. He'd been sober 14 months, completed an electrical course, had a job waiting. I think about you every day, about Mom, about what I lost. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I'm trying to become the man you raised. Just 20 years late. If you want to talk, I'm at this address in Cleveland. If not, I understand. I'll always be grateful you were my father, even though I didn't deserve you. I love you, Dad. Jordan. I read it slowly. No tears this time, just sad acceptance. I kept the letter for 3 days, talked to Nancy Carol Judy. What does your heart say? Nancy asked. My heart says he's still my son. My brain says protect myself. Carol offered wisdom. Maybe it's not either or. Maybe it's not yet. I wrote a short letter by hand. Jordan, I received your letter. I'm glad you're getting help, glad you're sober employed and with Uncle Robert. I'm not ready to see you or talk regularly. The pain is still too deep. But if in a year or two you're still living well and decently right to me again, we'll see then. I don't know if I can forgive you, but I'm leaving that door open. That's all I can give you right now. Take care, Dad. I mailed it. Felt peace from that measured response. Not a slammed door, not wide open. Boundaries. December 25th. Exactly 1 year after that brutal text message. I didn't host Christmas at my house. Too many old memories. Nancy and Harold hosted instead. Dinner with me, the book club friends, Lawrence, their families. Not blood relations, but real family. Warmth, laughter, belonging. We had roast beef instead of turkey, changing the old traditions. Nancy pulled me aside. 1 year ago you were alone. Look at you now. 1 year ago I lived for people who didn't value me, I said. Now I live for myself. Are you happy? I'm more than happy. I'm free. Later, I walked home through the snowy streets of Madison. Maple Bluff was quiet. Christmas lights twinkling. I passed my house, redecorated now in my own style. The lights were warm and welcoming. It wasn't a museum to Jordan's childhood anymore. It was my home. I stood on my porch looking out at Lake Mendota, frozen under moonlight. The same porch where this had started, the same lake, but a different man. Jordan was the past. These friends were the present. And I had a future. I'd lost my son, but I'd found myself. Peace at last. This is my story, a true story, but it doesn't have to be yours. I was a grandfather who loved too much and protected too little. I confused unconditional love with unconditional giving. Those aren't the same. If you're reading grandpa stories like mine, here's my advice. Love your children, but don't let them use you. Generosity without boundaries isn't love, it's enabling. I gave $73,000 hoping it would bring my son closer. Instead, it taught him I had no limits. Don't wait until you receive a text saying, they matter more than you, to realize you've become a resource instead of a father. Set boundaries early. This true story taught me that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. God gave us wisdom, and part of that wisdom is knowing when to say no. To anyone living their own version of these grandpa stories, you deserve respect. Your sacrifices should be honored, not exploited. I share these grandpa stories and this true story as a warning. Learn from my mistakes. Set boundaries now, before it's too late. David Morrison,